What's up, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of 33.3 News right here on Course Correction TV. It is so good to be back with you guys face to face. It's we of course shook things up the past couple of weeks because we had technical problems with the visual stuff. This entire setup went down for about a week, and then last week, of course, we had Sorry for the noise there, guys. Last week, of course, we had issues with, actually last week we didn't have any issues. Last week was just Sukkot, so we switched it up, and we had been doing everything through the convenience of a cell phone and this headset microphone. It's been great. What a huge blessing that has been. So we've actually got a lot to talk about. I think it'll go pretty fast, but we do have a lot to talk about. And as always, guys, our, course CC, whether it's CCR Weekly, 33.3 News, these shows are brought to you by the help of Shake and Wake Radio, so make sure you guys are checking out the Shake and Wake Radio Network. It is absolutely amazing, and we would not be reaching nearly the amount of people that we are if it wasn't for all of the fantastic work that Annie is doing over there. So we're going to roll a Shake and Wake Radio ad real quick, and we will be right back to get into today's subject. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. So if you're like me, you're on the road a lot. Hey, Trey here with Course Correction Radio and TV, and I just want to ask you, if you are traveling, why are you not listening to Shake and Wake Radio or right over on shakeandwakeradio.com? And this is what we've got it right here on the screen for you. And as you can see over here, we've got tons of shows. They're set up right for you guys. We've got the Cutting Edge, the Midnight Ride. We've got Remnant Restoration. All your favorite shows that you guys are used to, all in one place, and that place is shakeandwakeradio.com. So make sure you guys head over there, get that saved in your favorites on your browser. That way you can have all of your favorite edifying content all in one place. shakeandwakeradio.com. All right, so we're going to move right along into this first story. So, all right, just wanted to make sure. I always get paranoid when we go to the screen because sometimes, and I'm sure you guys have seen it, sometimes we get into a show and there's no sound when it goes to the screen. And since it's been a while since I've used this, I just wanted to make sure. So, we have, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but, there's been some reports, Elevation worship out of Elevation Church in Charlotte, which is, absolutely heretical, false gospel, false teachers, all of it is it's just terrible. Really, when you look at it from a biblical doctrine perspective, it truly is a godless place. Even though they talk about, worshiping God and serving Jesus, The real question is, which Jesus are they serving? Because it's not the Jesus of the Bible. And I'm going to show you that. So here is, and this is why the episode is called The Marks or the Traits of a False Prophet. I'm not, by the time you guys see this, I'm not sure which one of those we'll have gone with. But look at this headline. Elevation worship tickets cost up to $1,000 a seat at an LA event. Now, this really is a fascinating article. And so here is a picture of the Elevation Worship Band. But notice, so let's just read part of this. So Elevation Church's worship group, named Elevation Worship, is going on a West Coast tour, which includes stops in San Diego, Las Vegas, Oakland, Sacramento, Seattle, and Los Angeles. It called Elevation Nights. The tour will feature appearances from Elevation Church senior pastor Stephen Furtick. So this is a quote. It's going to be me, Holly, Elevation Worship. Unbelievable these nights, Furtick said as he stood alongside his wife, Holly Furtick, in a promotional video. So many have expressed excitement that Elevation Worship, an award-winning musical collective whose songs are used in church worship services around the nation every weekend, is coming to a city near them. Now, you know, so for those of you who have been watching for a while, you know that we are, Course Correction TV is also right here in North Carolina, same as Elevation. And now I actually never went, just because I didn't feel like making the, 3.5, 4 hour drive from where I'm located to Charlotte. But the church that I used to be a worship leader at, and at the time that I would have been going to Charlotte, I was just an electric guitarist for the band. We had some sort of partnership with Elevation. I'm not exactly sure how it worked, but I know we licensed a lot of their music and would we would do 4 to 5 worship songs a service, and the majority of them were Elevation. It went from either half or like 3/5 of what we would do would be Elevation, majority of the time. Sometimes it would swap out for Hillsong or Bethel, but majority of the songs that we did were Elevation. And it even got to the point, like I said, guys in our bands would drive down to do, basically look at the gear the Elevation guys used, see if we could, get ideas of what we needed to become the best we could be. Basically, what was happening was this church, and I just found this out. I kid you not, I just found out apparently the church that I was, I was involved with as a worship leader. I was at a different campus by the time I became a worship leader, but they had brought in somebody from the outside to rework them into the mega church framework. And I mean, one of the campuses has, grown a lot because of it. The other one is struggling, to say the least. That was the one that I was at. But I found that interesting because even before that, I had never met this person, so I can only assume this was after I left. However, what I found really interesting, was even while I was there, it was no secret that they were like a little brother. You know how little, like younger siblings, they emulate the older siblings, want to be just like them. They become little clones. That's what we were doing with Elevation Worship. And so I just say that to say, basically, I have a unique perspective on some of this stuff. So, but notice this. So, and I wanted to say that because of how it said whose songs are used in church worship services around the nation. Like that's not hyperbole. They're everywhere. Just about. I can only imagine, unless they're consistently writing their own music. A lot of these modern mega church wannabes are most definitely using Elevation songs. But it says, people are getting excited that they're coming to a city near them. However, after attempting to purchase the tickets, some have been left reeling from sticker shock. You can find tickets for as low as $11.43 in a section toward the back of the Oakland Arena. and a 20 seat for, the very back row of the Desert Diamond area in Glendale, Arizona. So not bad prices at all. Very reasonably priced. I would argue for an event that big. But get this. So if worshipers want a front row seat at an elevation worship at the Kia Forum in Los Angeles on November 3rd, they should expect to pay $1,080.25 a seat plus booking fees, which bring the total to about $1,140.15 for one seat. So let me just put this in perspective for you. This is for a worship band. Now, when I was a senior in high school, we took our senior trip. We went to New York City, right? Now, I've talked about my experience growing up as an actor, a stage actor, things like that. I've been in musicals, been in Bye Bye Birdie. I wouldn't consider this a... Sorry about that. The dog was trying. She thought she was going to sneak to chew one of the sneakers, and she doesn't. I guess she forgot that she's like literally within my field of vision. So, it's hard to remember that a dog that big is only 6 months old because she's almost like 100 pounds. She's a huge dog. Anyway, that's beside the point. So, anyway, like I was saying, basically what I'm trying to get at is I've always had a love of the theater. Like I love it. Love musicals. Love live stage performances. I get really into this stuff. Like I love the experience. When I went to go see Wicked, which is like the Wizard of Oz from the Wicked Witch of the West perspective, and basically turns the entire classic Wizard of Oz story into propaganda from the wizard. Like he's actually the bad guy in this. The witch is just, some innocent bystander who got caught in a, wrong place, wrong time kind of story. Anyway, so I think we were in like the front row of the upper deck of that particular theater. And I think my ticket cost me $125, which from what I understand is a pretty standard price. At least it was then. This was over 10 years ago. But so now, and I'll say this. What I'm about to say is there's a place that you can, we had to wait in line for hours in the rain in Times Square to get... we went to go see Phantom of the Opera, which is one of my favorite productions of all time. Like I kid you not, I used to be obsessed with the Phantom of the Opera. I have seen almost every Phantom of the Opera movie. I've read the novel multiple times. I've seen Andrew Lloyd Webber's show, which is what I was waiting in line for. I saw that on Broadway. Now, I got my ticket cut in half, and I paid about $82 to be about 25 rows back. So this was Broadway, New York City. So you think about that. That is, so I was probably, paying around, what if it was $80 some? I was probably paying, somewhere around 170. It's about 2:00 in the morning as I'm filming this, so I'm not even going to try to do the math on that right now. But the point is that, that was on Broadway, a major Broadway production. Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical of the Phantom of the Opera. This was after its popularity exploded with the Gerard Butler film version, the film adaptation of Andrew Lloyd Webber's. And I got my tickets in a really good seat, mind you, for that cheap. And now we're talking about a worship band, over $1,000 per seat. Now it says parking is an additional $45 to $60. So just put that into perspective. Major Broadway production. Now, like I said, I got my tickets for about 50% off. But you still look at maybe around $200 a seat, roughly, for a decent seat on Broadway. Versus $1,000 for a worship band where a message will be given. Really stop and think about that for a second. Now, of course, give me just a second. So, of course, I didn't pull it up yet, but I meant to. So let me see if I can come over here real quick, because we're going to pull this up. Of course, I can't type today. I got a new keyboard from my brother Chandler. So let me click this. And this is all public information, so I'm going to show this. All right. So, and give me a minute. It's taking a little bit to load, but what I'm going to do is I am going to show you, if you haven't heard about it. Steve, he was actually under fire for this a while back. Stephen Furtick was. So let's come over here. No, we're not going to pull that one up. Never mind. That just gets a little too close to doxing, in my opinion. No. Goodness gracious. First of all, let's exit out of that. This is a good picture, I think. So hopefully you guys can see this. So right here, well, it kind of cuts it off, but this is a picture right here up in this top right corner of the pastor of Elevation Worship. This is a picture of his house. Now look, here's my thing. And hey, you never know. This might be a hot topic take on this, considering, but you know, if typically, I don't care who you are. You know, this is America. Live in whatever size house you want. I guess my problem is that, you know, Furtick is a obvious false teacher. Like I mean, you guys have seen it in the CCR Weekly clip where he says God broke the law for love. That ought to put it into perspective how obvious of a false teacher this guy is. Now, he's also an extremely rich guy, and there's so many problematic things we could talk about. But so I guess my problem is I see a big house like this, and you come back over here, and we look at how much these tickets are costing. Logic dictates that we ask this question: Is the house a byproduct of the fact that this ministry is a cash cow? Because that's what it is. Like, and look, here's the thing. Like, I don't have a problem with Elevation Worship, the band, making money. I really don't. Because there's a lot of time put into that. There's a lot of, first of all, the rig that I had, and I went for a really low-end rig when I was playing electric guitar in a worship band. My rig was close to $1,000. Very, very, very low end. A decent guitar, like professional grade, decent guitar, the guitars on the low end are $1,000. So I had an extremely inexpensive rig. I was fortunate enough to find a limited edition Epiphone Les Paul electric guitar for I think Sarah snagged it for $100 or $200 at a pawn shop, and the thing is beautiful. I've got it back here. If you guys want to see it one day, I'll pull it out so you can see it. It really is. It's a beautiful guitar. These rigs, they cost a lot of money, so I have no problem with that. But $1,000, I don't care what it is. So, because this article actually, tries to give some context on this. So it says, for the Kia Forum concert, the cheapest seat still available in the floor section is $84.75. And some other seats one section up are available between $60 and $70. But seats on the back row of the uppermost terrace, we would call those the nosebleeds, are $44.75. I'm pretty sure when I went to the NCAA tournament when it was in Raleigh, when the opening round was in Raleigh, now, I didn't pay for these tickets. My mom bought them for my dad for his birthday. So I might have to double check with her, and, I'll fact check this. But I'm almost positive that I don't even know if the ticket. I know I've been to concerts before in that same area where the nosebleed tickets were cheaper than this. Now, this was Raleigh, North Carolina, which is cost of living and all of that probably a little bit lower than Los Angeles. So I am taking that into consideration. But $45 for a nosebleed ticket seems a little bit ridiculous to me. Now, maybe that's because I live on the East Coast, where the not only is the cost of living, but the poverty rate here is probably a lot higher, because North Carolina is a lot of rural areas. I've worked Eastern North Carolina for years with the line of work that I'm in, and Eastern North Carolina is an extremely impoverished area. They've got towns that they're talking about could potentially become ghost towns within the next 5 years. That's how impoverished and scarce these towns are, because factories shut down. There's no more work in these towns, and all the young people are, of course, moving away. I was just in Bath, North Carolina, which you go there in the summer, the place is a madhouse, because, of course, all the college students are coming back and they're getting work. So, which Bath is an interesting place, because that's where Blackbeard lived when he was in North Carolina, like the pirate. He lived in Bath. You can go to his old, where he used to live up there. It's really cool stuff. So, of course, that one's going to be a little bit different, because, the most notorious pirate that ever lived in that area. But you can go up to places like Conway, up towards the Virginia border, and it's just, it's a ghost town up there. It's just an incredibly impoverished area. So I just want to say that, just because that might give a little context as to why I personally may think these are. You guys let me know what you think. Maybe I'm overreacting to this. But these prices seem ridiculous. Now, look, this is what it says. Hold on, guys. All right, sorry about that. This I'm shooting on the DSLR camera instead of the webcam. It just gives a better picture, but it does cut off about every 25, 30 minutes. So, but anyway, this is what it says. It says, given the fact that the concerts will essentially take the form of a worship service with praise songs accompanied by a sermon, I personally think that word sermon should be put in quotes, but that's just me. Some are questioning why many of the tickets are so expensive. So, and here's their lineup. Glendale, Arizona, Las Vegas, Sacramento, Eugene, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Oakland, California, San Diego, California, Los Angeles, California. So, and, here's some of the advertisements, yada, yada. It says, while critics have been quick to cite high ticket prices as evidence of Furtick and Elevation taking advantage of an opportunity to line their pockets, it is notable that the cost of concert tickets has soared across the board in recent years. Now, that's true. And I'm going to show you some evidence of that with a more mainstream secular artist here in a minute at that same place. So, because remember, $45 is the lowest ticket price still available, right? So, in fact, the average concert ticket has more than tripled since the middle of the 1990s. I believe that. Now, there's a reason for that, and we'll get into that too. So, it says, in a segment of Last Week Tonight, aired earlier this year, John Oliver sought to explain this trend and how companies like Ticketmaster, which are facilitating ticket sales for these Elevation worship events, may be to blame. Now, you can go watch this Last Week Tonight if you want to see that. I'm not going to pull it up because that's an HBO show, and there's no profanity requirements on it. Matter of fact, we covered on the Daily Show this week. I was actually this past Thursday. For our subscribers, we did a show about John Oliver's latest episode on trans rights and things like that, and we broke down some clips and explained it with the doctrine of the Imago Dei, or the image of God. It was, and I had to go through and edit the clip because he dropped the F-bomb in the clip I used, so I had to bleep it out. And I don't have anything to do that right now, which is basically a long way of me explaining why I'm not playing the clip. But you can check that out. I haven't even looked at it, to be honest. I meant to, and it's just been an extremely busy week. I'll have more on that next week as to why it has been. But it says, this is a quote from Oliver. "It's no secret Ticketmaster is horrible," Oliver said. But exactly how it is horrible is genuinely interesting. In addition to accusations that Ticketmaster coerces artists into using its services through its merger with Live Nation, an events promoter with operational control over many of the nation's top venues, Oliver pointed out that a vast majority of concert tickets are often held back from the general public. They are instead sold to ticket brokers who resell them at an enormous markup, often on sites like Ticketmaster. And in some cases, tickets can appear on Ticketmaster at a markup of 1,000%. In those cases, the fact that an artist set the price of tickets at or below market value has little to no bearing on the final cost to concert goers. While Ticketmaster has denied accusation that it puts pressure on artists to use its services and has said that it spends considerable resources to, quote, weed out bad behavior by ticket brokers and others, the fact remains that the company profits greatly from fees negotiated with the venue, often owned by its or operated by its own Live Nation, and then profits a second time when ticket brokers resell tickets on their site at a markup. So basically, if you're not familiar, we'll come back over here real quick. Basically, here's the way it goes. Is at some point, I don't know when, but at some point, Ticketmaster bought out Live Nation. And so now not only does Ticketmaster offer the tickets, but they actually own a considerable amount of concert venues as well. As a matter of fact, if you remember last year, 5th of November, Travis Scott did his, that concert in Nevada where, quite a few people walked out dead. Well, they didn't walk out dead. You know what I mean? That was a poor choice of words, and I apologize for that. But, there was a lot of people that came out of that concert, unfortunately, they died at it. Now that was an interesting one. That was a That was a Live Nation Ticketmaster event, which I actually found that out because of Tracy Vinay over at FOJC Radio. She did a really interesting show on the Travis Scott thing. You should totally go check that out if you get a chance. It's on her YouTube channel. So make sure you guys check that out. But so let's come over here. So these are just some of Live Nation's. This is from livenation.com. This is their website. And these are some of their venues. These are just some of their venues. Now I looked and I went through this. The Elevation, the Kia one is not one of them. But just look at all of these. These are all the venues that Ticketmaster are, which now I guess they're called Live Nation Entertainment. This is what they own. Now, Live Nation Entertainment, like I said, is Ticketmaster. Same thing. And I don't know if you guys, I think you guys can see this, right? Let's check. Yeah, you guys can see this. So, give me just a second. Something has happened. I don't know what has happened here. Yeah, so let's do that. There we go. That should fix that problem. Not sure what was going on there. That was weird. But look at this. That's a lot of venues. So basically, and the reason I wanted to show that is there is a basis to that Live Nation is making a killing off of the markups and things like that, and then they're also hosting some of the venues, not this particular one, because this is the owner of this guy right here, Steve Ballmer. He's the one who owns the Kia Forum. So that's not a Live Nation venue. However, somebody is making a ridiculous amount of money. Now, this is just me. Or you guys can't even see that. Hold on. But yeah, this is, so just so you see that, I'm not making it up. This is Steve Ballmer, and he is, according to Google anyway, he is the owner of the Kia Forum. So, when you look, now, like I said, this is Los Angeles. This is not nearly the most expensive concert that is being held here, because we can come back over to the screen, and I'll show you this. So this is cake.com. I guess is how you say that. I don't know. I've never been to this site in my life. But this is Billie Eilish tickets, Inglewood Kia Forum 2022. So if you go on December 15th, on a Thursday, 7:30 p.m., the tickets they start at $224, and they go up from there. If you go on December 16th, they start at $186 and go up from there. And, this is, So you take the $44, whatever it was from over here, you start comparing that to the, to the Billie Eilish, which is, don't get me wrong, Billie Eilish is going to probably fill more seats, at least faster than Elevation will. Because, the godless world we live in, that's the kind of music that people like, apparently. Which, hey, pagans will be pagans, right? So, there is that difference there. I guess my problem is you're claiming to be a ministry. Now, I get it. You want to get... There is that logic of the bigger places you play, the more people you can get in to potentially hear the gospel. Here's my only problem is typically the people who are going to a worship event are either already are Christians, or in this case, already think they're a Christian, because the reality is if Elevation is the one that they're listening to get their gospel and their doctrine, they're on a slippery slope. I'm not going to say they're not Christians, because it's not my place to say that. Well, what I am going to say, though, is, they're not getting sound doctrine, so make that of what you will. But the thing about it is in order for them to get the gospel out to people, Elevation would actually have to preach the actual gospel. So this is just a big old kerfuffle. It's a big old mess. There's no basis to that logic from where I'm standing. Because, like I said, we're dealing with a person who has said that God broke the law for love. I've written an article on... I can't remember if this was on my old site or if it's on the Substack. It might be on the Substack. I've written an article where Stephen Furtick compared Jesus to Lil Nas X, the rapper that gave Satan a lap dance in a music video. So yeah, that you can't make this stuff up. I've written an article where, Stephen Furtick literally declared that he was God Almighty. You're not getting sound doctrine from this guy at all. So now we're going to pivot into the second half of this here in a minute, where we're going to look at, what is the difference between a money-hungry false prophet and a true teacher or prophet or apostle of God. And is it okay for them to accept money from people? Is it okay for them to make a living off of the gospel? Because you see that a lot. You guys shouldn't be making a living off the gospel. You guys shouldn't be charging for the word of God. I see people accuse John Pounders and David Carrico of this all the time. And we're finally going to break this down, and we're going to look at that. But first, we're going to come over here, and we've got a couple of ads we're going to play real quick, or at least one ad, I know for sure. But we're going to play an ad. So, guys, here on 33.3 News, we like to zero in on the tiny little details, do one story at a time. So if you are looking for a more umbrella bird's eye view, make sure you guys check out the Nightly News with Dan Badandi. And here's a trailer if you've never seen it before, which I doubt you have because most of you found me through him. But here's a trailer with the Nightly News just to give you a taste of what it's like. Get your dose of common sense with the Nightly News.
Oh my God, if we don't do something by 2030, the world's going to blow up, or whatever the case, the climate change is going to destroy the world, right? And it's kind of funny too because in 2035, California says you can't buy gas-powered vehicles. Well, if the world's supposed to end, from a climate change thing in 2030, how, you're going to initiate owning electric-powered vehicles in California in 2035, 5 years after these idiots claim that the world's going to get destroyed. Anything about how the Earth works, science, whatever. You're going to be some kind of a lunatic, dumbass. Okay?
The nightly news, just what the doctor ordered. Only on TruthRadioShow.com. All right, guys. So, like the ad says, you can check that out on TruthRadioShow.com. You can also find, and as a matter of fact, I actually need to update this. Dan's channel was in our recommended section, but that channel has since been removed by the techno-fascists that run this platform. So you can check him out under the Dan Badandi Show YouTube channel. You can also find him, Truth Radio Show, on Rumble as well. But the best place to do it to figure out where he's going to be broadcasting is to go to his website, TruthRadioShow.com. I would also like to take the chance, before we get into the Bible breakdown section of this, I would like to just mention it, and I got to give a shout out. You guys are awesome. It seems like overnight we jumped up from about 26 subscribers to now we're over 70 on Rumble. But if we get over 100, we can start doing live streams over there, and I would love nothing more than to use YouTube less, because YouTube, first of all, YouTube hates channels like this. YouTube doesn't like the fact that we're going to go against their narrative that they've worked so hard to please their overlords with. And, while we're going to try our best to be respectful while we are over here, ultimately the goal is to get the word out and get it out clearly, right? So if you guys start doing that, we can start doing the live streams for CCR Weekly over there. Absolutely. I would love that. So if you guys don't mind checking that out, it's Course Correction Radio with spaces on Rumble. And I will try to put that in the live chat too if you guys need it. But yeah, if you guys could do that, that would be absolutely just wonderful. It'd be wonderful. So we can start doing that. So anyway, let's get right down into this. Now, we're going to come over here, and I'm going to add yet another window for us. And here we go. All right, so we're going to come down here to the King James on Bible Gateway, and we're going to start going through this. So let's look at some of the traits between the requirements of a bishop and what the signs of a false teacher are. So let's go over here. So this is one of my favorites, right? First, we're going to go to Titus 1 and verse 7. And we're actually going to come up because I want to read this entire section with this. So let me also put through 9. There we go. I'm trying to get used to this new tiny little keyboard, but it fits so much better on this compact little desk. I tell you what, it's wonderful. All right. This is what it says. For a bishop, I can't remember. I believe the word bishop there, I believe that's the word episkopon, like an overseer. That's the word that when we went over what Justin Martyr said about the Eucharist, he called the bishop a president, somebody who presides over the service. A bishop must be blameless as the steward of God, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wine, no striker, not given to filthy lucre. Remember that, not given to filthy lucre, but a lover of hospitality, a lover of good men, sober, just, holy, temperate, holding fast the faithful word as he hath been taught, that he may be able by sound doctrine both to exhort and to convince the gainsayers. Well, there you go. So, now, if you go on, let's go on. Let's just go on. So, let's read the full chapter, why don't we? And I meant to highlight this and I forgot, and that's why. So this is for, there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not for filthy lucre's sake. What is the motivation behind their teachings? Their motivation is money. They want to get rich, and they want to do it at your expense. So the people that come to mind are people like Kenneth Copeland, Joel Osteen, Creflo Dollar. I mean, you guys know the guys we're talking about. Jesse Duplantis. That guy. Don't get me started on Jesse Duplantis. My goodness. So it says, but look at this. One of themselves, even a prophet of their own, said, the Cretans are always liars, evil beasts, slow bellies. This witness is true. Wherefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith. So, and then it goes into the Jewish fables, commandments of men that turn from the truth. Now we did a whole show on this section of Scripture on a Thoughtful Thursday episode on the Daily Show that got lost. We lost the episode. We lost that, and we lost our Medoc Mountain Bigfoot show for Freak Show Friday. So that was terrible. It absolutely sucked. But people take the unto the pure all things pure, but unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and conscience is defiled. Now notice what that's talking about. The context here is, it really seems to me anyway, and I could be wrong, but when you go and it's talking here about, the requirements of a bishop and how there's those who deceive for filthy lucre's sake, unto the pure, all things pure. I mean, that really has to do with your motivations there. But that's your motivations and what you're doing, like as far as what you're teaching. Unto the pure. I think it was John Cooper of Skillet, which I love Skillet. I love them. I love the fact that, John Cooper standing up against this woke nonsense. Love the fact that he's standing up against all of these so-called Christians that are going apostate, but at the same time, he said that him listening to secular music doesn't affect his Christian walk, and then he used this verse as justification, and he said he may have been using it wrong, so give credit where credit is due, but yeah, that's not what this verse means. So that's a completely different story. So, when you look at that, where there's that contrast there between the bishop, the godly bishop, and these false teachers. Now, you can take this even further when you go to 1 Timothy chapter 6. We're going to go to 1 Timothy chapter 6. All right. Whoops. Timothy, not Tomothy. Man, this keyboard's taking a lot more getting used to than I thought it would. All right, so let's just start in verse 1, shall we? If I can get there, goodness gracious. So let as many servants as are under the yoke count their masters worthy of all honor, that the name of God and his doctrine be not blasphemed. So what is the name of God? Now, This is one of my favorite subjects because many of you know that I came out of the Hebrew roots movement. I came out of the sacred name nonsense, all of this just garbage. Because it was revealed to me that the name of God is Jesus Christ. That is the secret name of God revealed to humans. And as far as what we call God, I get it. People call him Yahweh. They call him Yahuwah. They call him Yehovah, all of this stuff. Jehovah. I don't care what you call him. That's between you and him. Call him whatever you want. Now, if you're getting too overt with it and like half of the stuff on your Facebook page is like Heblish and you've got like all of this stuff, just every other word, like just go ahead and unfriend me because I don't want that nonsense on my page. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. I just don't have time for this Hebrew roots sacred name crap because that's what it is. It's a waste of my time. You're wasting your own time and you're going off in this just deception and distraction, and it's actually preventing you from living a holy life. I know from experience. But anyway, so look, but it talks about the name of God and his doctrine. Well, the name of God, that's Jesus Christ. That is the name that was revealed to man. That was the form of God that was revealed to man. All of man was Jesus Christ and his doctrine, the doctrine of Christ, be not blasphemed, right? So, and this verse 2, and they that have believing masters, let them not despise them because they are brethren, but rather do them service because they are faithful and beloved, partakers of the benefit. These things teach and exhort. So we've already talked about that, Jesus, his doctrine, all of this has been established. I wanted to do that so we could go into verse 3. If any man teach otherwise, not only just the doctrine, but, Jesus was also, this whole thing of, obeying masters and things like that. Well, of course, we know Jesus said that, ultimately it said you have one master, but, you have other masters and things like that under it. We know this biblical hierarchy, right? So, but notice what it says. If any man teach otherwise and consent not to wholesome words, even the words of our Lord Jesus Christ, and to the doctrine which is according to godliness, he is proud, knowing nothing, but doting about questions and strifes of words, where cometh envy, strife, railings, evil surmisings, perverse disputing of men of corrupt minds, destitute of truth, supposing that gain is godliness. From such withdraw thyself. Now notice what he says after this. But godliness with contentment is great gain. Godliness with contentment is great gain. It's not how much you're bringing in. It's not gain that makes godliness, but it's actually godliness with contentment that is great gain. Does that make sense? Doesn't matter how much money you have if, it goes right back to the doctrine of Christ. What profiteth it a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul, right? So, let's look at this. So, what do I got after this? I gotta check my notes, guys. And I believe if we were to go over to the second epistle of the Apostle Paul to Timothy, this is what it says. So we've looked at that. We've looked at how these guys, they are, they deceive people with the motivation of making money. Basically, you tell people what they want to hear, they give you money, right? That's the best way. That's the salesman's tactic. I've been a salesman. And there we go again. So I've been a salesman, and basically here's the way that it works. Now, I pride myself on not only just telling the truth, but trying to get people what they need. But the fact of the matter is sometimes people don't know what they need. So you try to tell them a truth in a way that tickles their ears, if that makes sense. Like, you want to not only tell them the truth, but you want to say it in a way that makes it sound really good to them. And that's my approach is, at the end of the day, if they don't see the truth, I'm just going to walk away. Like, but you do have to try to present it in a way that makes them, want to do it, because nobody wants to spend, X amount of money if they don't have to, right? So, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you the standard salesman's tactic is to tell the customer what they want to hear, so that way they can get money from them. I used to work with a salesman who was also a pastor, ironically, and this was the reputation that this salesman had gotten himself. Was somebody in our office said that, so-and-so, not going to say his name, but so-and-so would sell his own mother if it meant getting to his desired sales numbers. And that is, to me, the exact same mentality that these guys have. And I'm going to show you that. So let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 3. And this is what it says. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves. So this is the other trait of false teachers. They're narcissists. And I'm not talking about, people that, are struggling with narcissism and are trying to, actively overcome it like any other sin, right? But we're talking about unrepentant narcissists that revel in their narcissism. They revel in the fact that they are these manipulative, controlling beasts, right? Men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors. That would be where the whole would sell your mom to make the money. Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness. So they look the part, right? But ultimately they deny the power of thereof. From such turn away. Now we just saw that in the last passage too. You look, when you see these false teachers, you're supposed to mark and avoid them, right? So, and I'm going to say this because I want to, hopefully what I'll do is I'll take this clip and I'll re-release it for people, because here's what's going to happen. If you're using elevation worship in your church, and you just have seen over and over and over and over again just the signs of the falsity of this ministry, well, then you are a partaker in their evil deeds, right? If any man hath not the doctrine, if any man transgresseth and abideth not in the doctrine of Christ, he hath not God. Right? Verse 11 says, if you welcome them into your house, which is where your fellowship was, you bid them Godspeed, you're a partaker of his evil deeds. And that is exactly what you are doing if you are my goodness, my brain is falling apart. If you are partaking in this elevation worship stuff. So, guys, I want to give you, and I'm going to try to do some rapid fire stuff if I can. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to release on the Substack page. We're going to do and this will be free for everybody. Normally, overtime is, at least for the first week, goes to the subscribers, and then it'll be released a week later. But what we're going to do this week, since we couldn't get to everything in the hour that we've got, and my camera's going dead, I can see it flashing. What we're going to do is I'm going to release, if you head to the Substack page and subscribe to metanoionmedia.substack.com, you can watch the overtime. We'll go into the rest of this on overtime. But the Didache it also gives this. Now, this is what it says of a false teacher. It says, a true apostle must stay for 1 day, but if he stays 3 days, he is a false prophet. And when the apostle leaves, he is to take nothing except bread until he finds his next night's lodging. But if he asks for money, he is a false prophet. It says, do not test or evaluate. It says, by his conduct, there will the false prophet and the prophet be recognized by his conduct, right? So that's a very important context clue, by his conduct. But it says and I lost what I was looking for. Goodness gracious. But this is what it says, verse 12. But if anyone should say in the Spirit, give me money, or anything else, do not listen to him. But if he tells you to give on behalf of others who are in need, let no one judge him. So what would that look like in the modern context? That would be somebody like, I would say the Osteens, the Copelands, the Furdicks of this world, who are, constantly talking about tithe, and they're very clearly getting overtly rich off of it. And that's what we'll talk about in the overtime is, what ministers of the gospel can biblically, go with. But when you look at this, if they're getting overtly rich and it's gain, and it's insanely rich, and especially if they're doing things like Joel Osteen did during the hurricane and shutting the doors of Lakewood Church to people that needed somewhere to shelter, that's number one, that's their conduct. But number two, they're not taking the money for other people's benefits. Now, I'm going to use Dan Bidandi as an example here, because Dan Bidandi is somebody that if you were to just look on the surface, he does say if you're blessed by the ministry, you can donate here, here, and here. Now, his naysayers, what they're going to say is, oh, well, Dan's asking for money, therefore he must be false. But no, what Dan is doing is he's asking people to help him. You know how much humility that takes? Dan hates doing that, just to let you guys know, because of people like Joel Osteen. He hates doing it, but at the same time, he's got studio space. This equipment, guys, the equipment that it takes to do stuff like this is extremely expensive. The fact of the matter is none of us can do it without you. Number one, we need prayers. So, look, don't feel bad if you don't have the spare money. For anybody, I don't care who it is. Don't feel bad if you don't have the spare money. Prayers are the biggest thing. The next thing you can do is you can like, subscribe, and share videos, right? That's a big one. We can't get this stuff out here without you, whether it's me, Dan, John, and David, all of this. And then if you feel led to, Dan's just letting you know that the option is there. For us, personally, over here, we have the premium subscription on Metanoion Media, where you get early access to content plus bonus content. Mainly because we want you to know that we would never ask with expecting to give something in return, because we're here to serve you. And it's our way of saying thank you if you feel led to do it. If you don't feel bad. Because the fact of the matter is you're here, you're watching. If you just hit that like button, you hit that thumbs up and you give prayers, thank you so much. Because that goes farther than anything else could. That is literally the very best thing that you could do. Does that make sense? When, we do this, we started over here at Course Correction TV, we started Metanoion Media as a way to give Christians an alternative to get media sources, entertainment, education, biblical education. But, we also wanted to entertain, and we wanted to offer you guys a place that you could go instead of, the CNNs of the world, the Fox Newses of the world, all of these, even alternative media sites that are basically just woke light. You know, they're nothing but secular things. We wanted to give you something that we felt we could give. We've got a clip coming out very soon of we're starting to do we're even going to start a late night style kind of, thing, because I was always a big fan of late night comedy. I wasn't alive during the Johnny Carson era, but I've watched some of his stuff. He's funny. Jay Leno was funny. David Letterman was my personal favorite growing up. I used to watch him every night. And I love that stuff. I love to laugh, but more importantly, number one, it's not funny anymore. None of them are, just about. But number one, I think it's important for Christians to laugh in a wholesome manner. Now, I will say, as far as offensiveness, some of my jokes push the line a little bit, and they're designed to. But number two is, I try to keep it clean, because that's what we need, right? I think Christians need stuff like this, especially, Christians. We've come out of the Babylon with the pagan holidays and all of that. You've got places like the Babylon Bee that do it, but they're still involved with the pagan holiday side. So, if you're like me, there's certain times of the year where you just can't watch their stuff. And, we wanted to, and I know I'm going on a rant about this, guys, and I apologize. I'm trying to let you know where my passion lies. Because I've always, anybody that knows me, you can ask them. I'm a goofball constantly. I just about make a joke out of anything. Sometimes I try too hard and the jokes just aren't funny. Once I released the clip where we went through the news headlines and we made jokes out of them, you'll probably see that, because I do try a little too hard sometimes. But, this is where my heart is. I think we need somebody to stand up to, at least on the Christian side, and start saying, you know what, it's time for us to have an alternative. And I know people are doing it. We're all flawed. None of us are going to do it perfectly, but I've been saying that for a long time, and I don't see anybody else trying to do it. And that's not to knock anybody, because you've got Now You See TV, which has great, excellent stuff up there. I mean, and that is designed for if you want to dig deeper into, specific topics. They've done an excellent thing. And, I would absolutely say, if you haven't subscribed to that, you need to. It is an excellent platform, but that's just number one. The platform we've got here is not designed to compete with that. If anything, it is hopefully designed to be in complement to that. Because we have the Metanoia Mirror, which it's definitely opinion journalism, but you're still going to get some facts in there. If I can ever start pumping out articles. I mean, I've got a few up there, but you're going to get... So you were going to get The Daily Show, but honestly, the numbers are just not looking good, and I think I'm just going to cancel that show. It's just, it doesn't seem like something people are interested in, and I don't want to waste your guys' time. If you're going to pay $5 a month or $45 a year, I don't want to waste your time on it. Instead, I think what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to start doing overtimes and bonuses, overtimes, things like that. You'll get you'll get extra of the shows you already like, if that makes sense. And, I'm going to try to make it to where, you're not getting, I'm not, doing, like, I'm still going to, give the gospel message and things like that, but that's not going to be like that's not going to be the primary. We're just going to be building on top of what we've already done, plus adding new context. Like last week, we did the story with Kirk Franklin and how he said the lion and the lamb would bow down to the goat. Well, in the overtime for that, and that should be released by tomorrow, I'm going to go in and make it to where everybody can have access to that. We looked at another YouTuber and critiqued his point of view on it. Just, to give, I had wanted to do it in the actual show, didn't have time. So, you will get things like that. But what we're going to do is we're going to stop this here. Just to let you know what we're going to talk about, I'm going to give you a rundown of what we're going to talk about. In the bonus segment, if you go to overtime, You'll find it under 33.3 News on metanoionmedia.substack.com. Go to the Metanoion Media page. Do not go to the 33.3 News page. I set that up before I knew you could put the sections and all of that in there. That I'm trying to make sure that we can get all that stuff moved over, and then the actual 33.3 News page, once it's all transferred over, will be taken down. Go to metanoionmedia.substack.com. At the top, you'll see different headers. Metanoion Mirror, Daily Show, 33.3 News. Click on that one. You'll find the overtime for today's show once it's uploaded. And if you subscribe, it'll be sent to your email. But this is what we're going to talk about. Is it okay for a minister to accept money? And we're going to go over the scriptures that talk about these subjects. And then we're going to look at how do we reconcile this with what the Didache said about people who were saying, give me money. So make sure you guys subscribe for that. metanoionmedia.substack.com. We're going to go over that in the overtime. That does have a comment section on there. Plus, I can start my own social media threads up there. So like I can do tweet style stuff. So, we can all interact over there too. So leave a comment on that. Let me know what you think after we talk about that, guys. We're going to get off of here for today. Look forward to seeing you all in the overtime section over on Metanoion Media. It's been great talking to you guys. Y'all have a wonderful Sabbath, and we will see you back here, hopefully. If everything goes right, we'll see you back here later on tonight for CCR Weekly. Y'all take care, and God bless you all.